And I like the idea too. She didn't have to grieve alone. He sent mourners with her to be by her side with her and her sister to mourn. So she didn't grieve alone. That's just like us as well. When we have a loved one that dies, or there's people that comes and they surround us, to give us comfort in the time of grief and despair because we've lost a loved one. So he sent them to her as well. That is part of the plan, and I mean it's continued as you have stated and as we all stated. That was then, and it still stand as for today.
I tell you, why don't we talk about that? Like I said, I didn't generate the lesson, but the past one, my brother, my favorite brother, his brother, but after the funeral Saturday, we was talking, man, some of my brothers and everybody, we felt peace.
Hmm.
I mean, it was peaceful, it wasn't, it was peaceful. It kind of felt like a Sunday stuff Saturday, to be honest with you. But I mean, we all felt peace. I just said this, yeah, man, I feel the same way, peace. So God does, He's still doing today what He did back then. But
Right.
you gotta have faith.
Yes, absolutely.
You gotta have faith.
And it's just like, when you have a loved one in the hospital and, they're on their deathbed and the doctors give up on them. And then, for the end of the day or for the end of the week, it's like a miracle that, put breath back in them, like you said, and they have coming on. But when people hear about a lot of these miracles, it's best to hear about it. Like I said, a lot of folks don't even have faith in God.
Right.
And when you got faith in God, like he said, believe it or not, God can do anything but fail. And I tell folks this all the time in church. You have a lot of folks come in church like God ain't never did nothing for them. So, but when you see these miracles God doing, even around you, it ain't even got to be in your family. It can be one of your co-workers, just somebody that you know. And when you see that it wasn't nobody but God, it does give you a sense of belief. Because you said, nah, that wasn't nobody but God.
Right.
Say something. Some people take more convincing than others. Even the disciple that was going to turn the world upside down, they needed more faith to believe because they've been with it all this time. They've
Mm-hmm.
seen him do crazy miracles. He's the resurrection and life. He proved this before him. He proved this to them before this act of blasphemy. Remember when they went on the Mount of Transfiguration? They already had a meeting with his inner circle, and Elijah and Moses showed up. Come on. We got the Moses, the writer of the first five of the Pentateuch. He shows up. And then you have Elijah. He shows up, and they're right in the same meeting with them. And the thing about them, they say, well, why don't you just make us a temple together? Make us one too. Instead of staying spiritually focused, their mind is focused on something else. So he showed them he was the resurrection and life. So when they went to Lazarus' tomb, they shouldn't have had a doubt in their mind that he was going to raise Lazarus from the grave.
Right.
Because they've already seen with their own eyes. But that's how we are.
And too, real, make your point. Even though they seen that,
Right.
they seen a lot of Moses, they still
Right.
that disbelief.
Right.
Yeah, this, yeah.
Right.
They're like us today. Like I said, some of us, I guess some of us can see the vision,
Right.
and some of us can't.
Right.
You know,
Read right before he said, make it clear.
Yeah.
Make it clear.
make it clear.
Even if you make it clear,
That's the whole point, right there, to be able to get the glory. Yes. Okay. What did we get to? The second, Lazarus is raised from the dead. John 11:38 through the 44. Anybody want to read? Or do I need to read that? Yes, I'll read it. Then Jesus again, greatly disturbed, came to the tomb. It was a cave. A stone was lying against it. Jesus said, "Take away the stone." Martha, the sister of the dead man, said to him, "Lord, already there is a stench, because he's been dead for 4 days." Jesus said to her, "Did I not tell you that if you believe, you will see the glory of God?" So they took away the stone, and Jesus looked upward and said, "Father, I thank you for having heard me. I knew that you always hear me, but I have said this for the sake of the crowd standing here, so that they may believe that you sent me." When he had said this, he cried with a loud voice, "Lazarus, come out." The dead man came out. His hand and feet was bound with strips of cloth, and his face wrapped in cloth. Jesus said to them, "Unbind him and let him go." Anyone have anything they want to put on that?
I imagine all the people who didn't believe. I mean, the real negative people, because you know they're among us.
Oh, yeah.
Can
Yeah,
you
always.
imagine what they were just thinking when he showed up and he told them to come out of the grave? They said, "Man, he threw right in the grave." We can already smell this dude. You know, when he wanted to get up, you know.
That would happen if you would run over each other, trample each other to death, run.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that church would never be empty again.
And not after they see that.
Right. Some people have to be moved by what they see.
Mm-hmm.
But faith comes by hearing. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's not what you see, it's what you know.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. But if somebody done that today, that church would never be empty again. Because you couldn't get in it. They would be looking for that type of miracle to happen every time they need it.
And the word would be out.
Yeah.
Yeah, the word would be out, definitely. Yeah. Anyone else want to read? Verse 38.
Verse 38 opens with Jesus at the tomb where Lazarus was buried. The detail John includes that Jesus was groaning in himself is to indicate Jesus' frustration with the crowd's lack of belief in him. The grave site, also depicted in verse 38, fits the profile of many of the tombs that can still be seen in that vicinity. Since such sites were usually formed from hollowed out caves, some of which have multiplied horizontal or vertical vaults dug out from the main chamber. Each vault would generally be covered by a flat stone slab that sealed the grave. Jesus commanded to take away the stone. Triggers Martha's felt responsibility to inform Jesus that Lazarus has been dead for 4 days. And by the time there is a stench, bodies become decomposing rather quickly in Palestine because they were not preserved by embalming process in the matter of Egyptian funerary procedures. Spices were used primarily to hide the smell of decay. While the concern about the odor was justified, another reason for Martha's protest was to prevent violating Jewish purity laws regarding touching dead bodies. Jesus counters Martha's protest in verse 40 with a slight rebuke. "Did I not say to you," reminding her of his promise and her need to believe that she will see the glory of God? After they remove the stone, Jesus prays. He starts by addressing God as Father, which has been a common theme throughout the gospel. For John, it provides further evidence of the father-son relationship between Jesus and the Creator. Different than the others, this prayer begins with thanksgiving, wherein Jesus expresses his gratitude for being heard. It presupposes that Jesus is fully aware of God's will regarding this allows Lazarus not simply to be brought back to life to live fully. It is one thing to be brought back from death. It is another to be brought into and participate in life. Lazarus' unwrapping was both a way to integrate him back into his community and for the community to have a hand in bringing him back into the fold. Jesus is both theologically minded and community oriented, realizing that both are needed in this instance.
So I couldn't even imagine, just standing there giving that command, and then his clothes, you commanding the clothes to fall off, and the crowd watching it. I just I think about it, how she felt when she seen her brother coming out. Yeah, just I'm pretty sure she was startled, but she believed. But he did it. He did what he said he would do. Yeah. Anyone have something to add to that?
Like I said, throughout the Bible, God does all kind of miracles. I like the one when he was on the way to Galilee, and these two blind men heard that he was coming. And the crowd was trying to get the two blind men to be quiet. And all they wanted to do just God just to get him sight. And like you said, like you said, they just heard about it. They didn't really know it, they just heard about it, but they knew enough to know that if he worked miracles, Lord, all we need to do is just give me my sight. He get in the sight, and then what they do, they pack up and start following. But when miracles happen like that, it is. And then we tell folks this all the time in church. When God do something for you, tell him. Tell him.
Mm-hmm.
Because like you said, you got a lot of people, like you said, it's just in disbelief. Just like the lady that walked around there for 12 years, please. And she got close enough to him just to touch him and his garment. He wanted to know who touched his garment. After this lady done spent all her money, then 12 years of her life, trying to get well, all he wanted to know who touched my garment. Then all of a sudden, like I said, miracle healed. It's just so many things that God done throughout the Bible. It would be hard not to believe. He, just like with us, each and every one of us could have been born with some kind of defect. We look at all these kids, in St. Jude Hospital, that could have been us, not our kids, that could have been us. It ain't nothing that we said or nothing that we done. God, he works miracles.
It was like I was talking to this woman a couple of days at the doctor's office with my daughter, and she was telling me about her dad dying of COVID, and said it was 17 children, and they didn't want the vaccination, even after he died. But her and her husband went and got vaccinated. When we all know vaccination, it don't stop you from getting COVID, but it lessens the problem. But if you don't get it, it's just like playing Russian roulette. You don't know what you're going to get out of it. So she was talking to me about it, and she said that they didn't believe. It takes me back to this. When this thing started, everybody, and you heard people say, the saints say, this Lord bless us for healing. Heal the land. Okay, we all know that we are here for a purpose. The same way he was there for a purpose. He had this plan. It was really the beginning for the crucifixion of Jesus. The rising of Lazarus. But here's the thing. You ask for that, and the man is put here on the purpose, so they find something to help heal the land. But then what you hear, I'm not taking that. That thing's been here too long. They ain't been here long enough. I'm not going to do that. But I say that he put people here for a purpose. It is a purpose, because if people have been vaccinated, it has controlled some of the symptoms and things, but it's sad that people don't want to take it. That's them, those non-believers. just like she was telling me when I even told her about myself back in January. When I left my house that Monday and got down there to that doctor, people, I was getting ready. You was going to have something to talk about, but it wasn't going to be good. My O2s was down to 80. I done drove all the way from Antioch down there. And when that woman come in and pulled her seat, she had tears in her eyes. She told me, she said, I need you to go. I need you to go to the hospital, go straight there. She said, I need you to go straight there. And I sit on there and I told her, I told my child I'll be back. I said, I got to go back home. She said, Miss Rivers, I need you to go there. She said, either I'm going to send you out. I'll get an ambulance and send you out. I begged her to give me breathing treatment. I begged her like I was begging for my life. And she just threw her hand up. She said, okay, I'll give it to you. So I sit there, and I did the breathing treatment. She left out. She come back in. She looked at me, and she pulled a chair up, sweating and carrying on. She said, look, let me see. I gave her my finger, 94. I sit there, and I grinned a little bit, but I'm thinking to myself, Lord, please let this continue to stay at 94. She said, well, I tell you what, we at 94. I'm going to let you sit here longer, just see if it stays there. So it stayed there. But my point, when I was telling the woman about it, you know what she said? You was lucky. That was, Lord, you was lucky. You was lucky. No, I was not lucky. That was God. That was God. I don't believe in the word luck. Anything that we suppress by that is harmful to us, or we, even down to you leaving here, going home, that's not considered luck. You know what that's considered by. So what I was getting at right there to you all is that you always going to have people like that. You're going to have the non-believer, no matter what goes on, what proof. Like you said, tell them about it. I don't mind telling anybody about my story. And I've seen time I've tell them about their story, and you can look in their face, and they have a non-believe look. It doesn't matter about what you said. But, I know. And somewhere down the line, they too will head on to something. There will be some kind of disappointment, some kind of hurt, something that will come along that it will be him that will step in and intervene and bring life to the situation by making things better. It will be him. Just like he made things better for me. Because I got in that car, I drove home saying this, thank you, Jesus. Because my business was getting bad. And I done left and told my child I'll be back. And then while I was sitting there breathing that stuff in, I'm thinking like, I got to get back home. Because all I thought about them, because she already come in and, Mama, you going to go? Yes, I'm getting out of here. Staggering the camera. I didn't even tell her what was really going on. Couldn't even breathe in deeply. I just took like a little short breath. So I didn't tell her, but I got there, but I thank him all the way there. And hey, man, I tell you, he turned that thing around. Man, I don't want none of y'all to get that. He turned that thing around. I even went and stopped at Walgreens and got out of the car like I was $1 million all the time. I couldn't barely breathe. Went in there and got my little medicine and got in the car and went home and fell on the bed and laid there and just said, thank you. Because my business was in bad. It was in bad. But,
I think Lord put you stuff to get your attention.
oh, yeah.
I think they were in love with you. Kind of had similar thing I did for, when I went to a diabetic coma, I had it.
Mm-hmm.
Kids come in, want to come in, I could hear them, I couldn't move, I couldn't talk. I just lay in the dark. I thought, played my mind after the doctor. Then I got caught out myself, calm down, I opened my eyes. But that was good for me to go through that. Right. And the reason why I had me long taken deeply. It got my attention on that, but it got me focused on I need to do better in my life. I need to do my body right.
Mm-hmm.
Be around for my wife and my family. So it was good I went through that. But the lady I was told me, she said, son, you're a very important young man. She said, a lot of people come in like that, don't make it, they die. And the same day I come in, a truck driver come in with the same exact thing off the road and died.
Mm-hmm.
When he got a job for you to do,
Mm-hmm.
you need to take heed and do it.
Mm-hmm.
Get serious about it.
Mm-hmm. And I don't mind, just like you telling us, I don't mind telling y'all, I don't mind telling anybody, because we done been faced off with some stuff in the trenches. You know, some looking at like, I don't know what they're gonna do, Lord have mercy. But me, to the very end, I'm that one. I ride with him to the very end. Like even, like I even told my mom, she's seasoned, she older, and we always looking, and I'm the type of person, I'm observative, and I watch you, how you conduct yourself and the things you say. And like I told her one day, when the child was sick, now I done been sick. The whole family came that Friday. You knew I was up against the wall because the room was full of people, and I knew that I was like, this thing is either going to go bad or he's going to stand me up. They all praying and carrying on, and I'm looking at everybody. I'm already drugged up, grinning, looking at everybody. But he pulled me around. Like I told her, he gave you what you need. When they told you, when you got there that Thursday, hey, she's going to die. She's going to die. So they have this surgery, and when I came to, I can hear the woman telling me what to do, how to do things. So, but like I told her, I said, there I was, being turned around. Now we again at the same thing, but this time it's with a 2-year-old baby. You gotta have faith. What are you crying for? Why are you walking around? I didn't do like they did. They walk around crying and carrying on, wringing their hands and stuff. Me, well, let's just see. And that's that same God that did it for me. It's going to do it for the child. Only thing I cried for, the fact I knew that baby was down. She's got a long road. And we had something we was going to have to look at in mind. We did. But I told her, I said, you said you have faith. You said you believe. You acting like you don't. Because you got to dry it up. And you got to count on him to let him handle it. And this is my favorite part. The same part I say for myself. The same thing for her in here. Whether I live or die, it is all right. Same thing went for the baby. I said, I love her so. I said, but mama, however that thing go, I'm okay with it. I said, then dry your eyes. I said, because you know what this is all about. Like you said, let things happen for a reason. Was it supposed to bring people together? Didn't? Hey, as long as I recognize and I wanted others to recognize what it was all about. So, yeah, so that is the thing there for a reason. Just like he allowed Lazarus to die so he could show the disciples that he bring forth the light. He died and he brought him through. He brought him up to let him know, to make everybody believe who he was. Yes. Anyone else have anything they want to say? Okay. Remember it. Jesus gave 3 commands regarding Lazarus' death. Take away the stone. Lazarus came forward. Loose him and let him go. The first and the third commandment involved the mourners. The second involved Lazarus and the ultimate enemy, death. Jesus performed the miracle, but he employed the agency of human engagement to assist him. In their participation, the mourners became part of the sign, an undeniable witness to the power of Jesus. Sometimes God uses those questioning his powers as evidence of his power. Lazarus raised by the power of God from the dead this week. Live in the power of God to bring anything or anyone from the clutches of death. Whereas Lazarus was literally dead, you can experience social death, financial death, spiritual death. He is the resurrection. One of the ways that we can share the good news of this lesson is by imitating Jesus. Desires to comfort those who are struggling with grief. Being a loving presence to someone suffering with loss is how this lesson will live. So did anybody have anything they want to add to this lesson? I enjoyed it. It make you think. You got to allow yourself to think as you read it. But this lesson was indeed to me good. So did anyone have anything they want to add? I guess not. So I'll turn it over. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Sister Cece. Sister Secretary.
Minister of Silver Springs Missionary Baptist Church, Sunday School, July 24, 2022. The school is called to order by Deacon Hemingway at 8:03 a.m. this morning. Prayer by Deacon Houston. Scripture for today is John 11:17-27, 38-44. The subject of the lesson, conquering the ultimate enemy. Jesus said unto her, I am the resurrection and the life. He that believeth in me, though he were dead, yet shall he live. And whosoever liveth and believeth in me shall never die. Believest thou this? John 11:25-26. Officers present 5, teachers present 3. Grand total of attendance for today was 15. Last Sunday was 30. The weather was sunny and hot. Total offering today was $39. The lesson was reviewed 45 minutes by Ms. Stephanie Rivers. Director, Superintendent, Deacon Hemingway, Secretary / Clerk, Christina Moody.
Well, thank you, Sister Secretary. You know, that was a good Sunday school lesson. We could discuss it 2 or 3 different ways. You know, talk about, how people grieve differently. You know, some of us, when we lose a loved one, it's hard. It's really hard. And then we get to the point where we want to question God. Lord, why me? Lord, why you take my mom? Lord, why you take my child? But it's God does everything for a reason. And when we go through our life, our everyday life, we take life for granted. We do stuff, and step on people's toes, won't say I'm sorry, wake up in the morning time, won't tell God thank you.
Yeah.
I look at how he's done blessed Silver Spring. Even when that COVID was going on, they was only, read about 8 of us here the whole time. But the thing about it, what God did, he kept the doors of the church open.
Yeah.
And when I go to church, to me, church is like a healing place. No matter what you're going through, what you're doing, what done happened this week. When I come to church, and I come here seeking for the word of God.
Yeah.
And it does. You can be feeling bad at Sunday morning. But if you get up and you go to church, you'll feel better once you walk up out of here. It's just something about the temple that God, he knows how to get our attention.
That's right.
And we got to believe in his word. We do. We can't just continue to read the word. And a lot of folks read the word and they think it's just another book. It's not. It's not. God left us that Bible as a comforter. And if we pick that comfort up, believe it or not, there's something in that Bible about you. Something about in that Bible that we live and breathe every day. And thanks to God, for whatever reason, he sees fit to give us another chance. He sees fit to give us another day. And, me, I try to make sure when I go through my everyday life, I thank God every day.
Yeah.
I thank him every day. And I put that on the top of my list because, believe it or not, this morning, every one of us was on the wake up list this morning. We didn't have to wake up this morning, but we was on God's list to wake up. That's right. And that's just enough to say, thank you, Jesus. And we just, like I tell my wife all the time, we blessed in so many different ways. Yeah. I feel bad, when if I'm sick and don't go to church. I feel bad if I'm not paying my tithes. But God has a way, it's like Deacon Houston was saying, he has a way of getting your attention, showing you what you need to do. And the thing about it, we make it hard. We hard-headed. We just like the children of Israel. We don't want to do what God said. We just disobedient. You know, when everything going our way, like you said, God ain't nowhere in the picture. As soon as he pulled the rug from up under, Lord, why me? Why not you? I woke you up yesterday, you didn't tell me thank you. I woke you up today, you didn't tell me thank you. You know, this lady here called you and asked you to take it to the store and you ain't doing nothing. And you wouldn't. You know, little stuff like that, you know, believe it or not, God sees all, he knows all, he hears all. And when we being disobedient, guess what? He just only going to charge it to us. You know, you're accountable for your own actions. And like you said, that's why, but he loves us so much. He even forgives us when we don't even ask for it. And all we got to do, like I said, what I like about it, he said, love one another. Love your neighbor the way that God so loved the church. Yeah. And with all this, if we turn all that hatred, take it and turn it around and turn it into love, you know what? It'll be a whole lot different. Be a whole lot different. You know, I take my hat off to Pastor Jones, you know, for standing long as he did, you know, when stuff is going on in the church, you know, and, you know, I listen at you, Pastor. I listen at you, and the Lord will come in and he'll work it out. He does. He works it out, and believe it or not, it don't have to go over the whole world. When God do it, it stays right between the members. And, you know, when he works it out, the thing about it, we done been arguing for no reason. For no reason. But that's what he does. Pastor, you have anything? Anyone have anything? Let us stand. May the Lord watch between me and thee while we're absent, one from another. Let's all say amen.